Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and things have been just so lame, and I've been feeling so crappy, and I've had all my confidence basically taken away from me in most things except for comic books, and I had the Breaking Bad review to deal with, so I thought, fuck it, right? I already feel like shit. I'm not a happy person right now for the most part. I can't review X-Men #1, so hey, why don't I watch one of the worst movies that I told myself I'd never watch and then review it for you guys? So tonight we're going to be talking about a movie that I said I would only do a review for if I got paid for it. That's how bad things are for me right now. So I'm gonna watch Twilight, and then I'm gonna be back and I'm gonna review it for. What's happening? What? I'm not do. Oh! 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 All right. Hey everybody. I had to take over for a second because he was about to do something he said he'd never do, and I don't know what to do about it. So I had to knock him out, and I had to make sure that he didn't review himself, didn't debase himself by reviewing Twilight of all things. I mean, seriously, you guys, what the hell is wrong with him right now? So he hasn't reviewed Mr. Robot yet. He's been sitting around, waiting to watch it, feeling bad about himself. So I had to take control and make sure that he does the Mr. Robot reviews for Season 4. So hopefully when he comes to, he realizes it's time to do Mr. Robot. So thanks everybody. I'm sorry I had to get violent with him, but you know, you always hurt the ones you love. Have a good one, guys. Bye. Beavers and ducks. Whoa. What the hell is going on? Oh my fucking god, my head hurts like crazy. Where have I been recording this whole time? Fuck. I guess I can I'll just edit it out. Alright. Twilight. That's not Twilight. That's not Twilight. What is happening? Nope. Unauthorized. Print. What is this? What is on my... Mr. Robot, Season 4, Episode 1. Unauthorized. I remember everything from Episode 1 of Season 4. Why do I know that? Well, I guess we're going to be reviewing Mr. Robot Season 4 instead of Twilight. I've got all the information fresh in my head. I don't know what's going on. I got a really bad headache. I was supposed to review Twilight, but I got the notes in front of me. Mr. Robot's on behind me. I think I might need to go see an exorcist or something. So, anyway, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and apparently we're going to be talking about Mr. Robot Season 4, Episode 1. It's called Unauthorized, so full spoilers if you've not seen this episode yet. And I guess I might as well play it behind me, right? So, this episode was dedicated to Steve Golan, who was like an executive producer on the show. And anyway, welcome to my Season 4 reviews for Mr. Robot. Apparently, that's what we're going to be doing here. I wasn't planning on doing them yet because I'm not really feeling all that confident about how I review things right now when it comes to things like TV and movies anymore. I'm been really good at reviewing comics, I feel, and my Breaking Bad video was alright, but maybe this is how you get back your confidence, is to go out and put yourself out there again. And so here we are, talking about episode 401. It's called Unauthorized. And holy crap. So like I said, full spoilers if you haven't seen this. So after the end of last season, when they reversed 5-9 and we had all the E-Corp buildings blow up, Turns out that Price is Angela's dad. White Rose is basically on the verge of getting everything he wants. Elliot and Mr. Robot decide to really join forces, and Dom almost ends up on the receiving end of an axe, and now she works for the Dark Army. So, and Darlene, well, she's Darlene. And so as we start this episode, I was like, this is very interesting, and it goes on for a long time, this conversation between Angela here and her father Price, that's just crazy. That was crazy town bananas when I found out that he was her dad. But it basically takes from where we left off last season, and it's just kind of straightforward. I was going, wow, this is going on for a while. The scene's kind of, I don't know, we kind of just saw this. Well, I mean, last season anyway. And right when she gets to like being really, really adamant about what she's going to do, I went, she's gonna get killed. They're gonna kill her. And I'm thinking to myself, she's gonna die. She's going to get killed here. But nothing happens, and she turns, and I was like, what is, I thought maybe she got stabbed or something. She gets this look on her face like something's going on. Because when she tells Price that doesn't matter what he does, like, I'm going to do it myself, and then she turns as she says, no matter what you do, you can't stop me. I didn't realize what she was looking at until it was too late. That Price tells her that I can't help you. That she saw the men from the Dark Army standing there. We just don't know that she saw them until after she sits down. He walks away, pulls the wire that he's wearing for White Rose, and they fucking kill Angela. That is a crazy way to begin this episode. Because with this show, man, you don't always know, like, if you're seeing what you're seeing, or if you're just being shown what they want you to see. And so I kind of put a question mark about Angela's killed? But I mean, apparently, so what a way to start season 4 off by eliminating one of the main characters. When she's looking like that, she sees it. She knows what's coming. And she defiantly sits down and lets them shoot her in the back of the head. It's crazy. But that pretty much sets in motion the rest of this week's episode. Where, and again, it was kind of like things were kind of out of context for me for a little bit of it. Because White Rose is supposed to send Elliot a message. Her little assistant saying that he needs to be kept on a short leash. And so she says to, like, do something. Well, I thought that the something was when they showed him the picture of Angela with her brains blown out. Because even that, I was going, do they know? Because they keep talking about her like they maybe she's dead, maybe they don't know. But in the course of the scene with Darlene, we find out that they do know that she was killed. They showed her the picture of her brains blown out. So I thought that was the message. And it's crazy bananas that this whole thing basically is the message. The rest of this episode, from this scene on, from when they kill her and White Rose tells Price that they're gonna, like, he needs to get over it, and her assistant tells White Rose what's going on and says, like, well, send the message. Everything in this is the message, except for the stuff with Dom. And it's disappointing, but in a good way, because I was all set up for, like, I was thinking, all right, Elliot's, onto something. But what this episode ends up doing for me is it has that claustrophobic feel and that trapped feeling of just everything is hopeless. There's nowhere to go. Throughout this episode, I thought Mr. Robot and Elliot had an all right handle on things. But by the end of this episode, it's very dire, and it really doesn't, like, how are we coming back from this? It's a great way to set up like a very dramatic final season. Angela's dead, and Elliot is sent a message from White Rose. And the whole thing starts with a character played named Freddie, played by Jake Busey, um, who works at this law firm called Lomax and Looney. And Mr. Robot, which is very nice to hear that it's him. All right, he even calls himself Mr. Robot. I don't know if this is the first time that he's called himself Mr. Robot, or if this is kind of like the first time we're seeing Mr. Robot in charge and in action, like talking to somebody. It's usually, you know, not seen from his perspective. We're getting a lot more of Mr. Robot's perspective in this episode. And so they get this guy, played by Jake Busey, to do what they need him to do because they've got evidence that he likes to look at underage girls online, and they're threatening to show his wife and kids everything. So he reluctantly goes to Grand Central Station after copying a bunch of files, being tailed by the Dark Army. I love how this scene's played out with Mr. Robot standing on the in the station, but really he's not really there. He's really in the camera, where Elliot's in the security room doing his thing, but we get to see it from the perspective of, since the camera is everywhere, seeing Mr. Robot there, played by Christian Slater, who I love, is a really cool way to use both actors effectively. Like, in a way, he is there, but he's not. And my camera keeps screwing up. So then he meets Freddy on the train, where Freddy pulls a gun at him. I was thinking, well, this isn't going to go well, but man, to be honest with you, with the way this episode turns out, I'm surprised he didn't try to kill Elliot there. But we find out that his tag it still has the Dark Army tracking him, and so they get it out of there. He, meanwhile, tries to help Freddy, but Freddy realizes, or at least at the time we think that this is what this is about, is because when Freddy didn't know that the Dark Army was involved. I believe that part of the whole thing. I believe that once he knew that the Dark Army was involved, that's when he really made the decision to kind of do what he was going to do. Which was, once he realizes that Elliot's really only in this for himself, and he doesn't give a shit about Freddy or the video, he'll do whatever he wants with it, Freddy realizes that he's going to die. And he's not going to help Elliot or Mr. Robot get anything they want. Which is a very interesting turn. So Jake Busey kills himself, putting Elliot in another tough spot. But using his smarts, he's able to track down this John Garson person to an apartment where they bring a package to get delivered. This is crazy, because as soon as they get into the apartment, I go, there's something wrong here. The guy lets them up, fine. But when they got in there, it just felt like not lived in. There's furniture there, everything's fine, but it's just like the air, the way it looked, all stale, like the door hadn't been opened in a while. And as soon as they showed that frame that said it came with the frame moment, I was like, oh, there is no John Garson. This whole place, because Mr. Robot says this is like the quietest apartment building he's ever seen in his entire life. I mean, I knew that there was something up. But this whole place is basically, like what Elliot says, it's a honeypot. They're trapped in there. They went in and they got locked in. Freddy knew about this. Freddy set them up because this is the message. They wanted to set him up along a path where they know what he's doing. They wanted him to know that they know what he's doing, that he's not getting away with it. But they also, instead of just being obvious about it, they go through this whole scenario, this whole series of events to prove just how fruitless anything he tries to do is. It's astounding. This is so much better than that show he has on Amazon called Homecoming. I'm sorry, but it just is. So this whole thing, though, another little interesting details is how Mr. Robot's actually kind of being the cautious one here. That Elliot is now, because of Angela's death and how he felt about her, that now he's like more of the driving force here. He's the one that's going headlong into danger on his own. Whereas originally it was Mr. Robot was the one that was more of the risk taker and the one that, I mean, besides Elliot with doing drugs and all that, but it's a nice change. Well, it's an interesting change from the dynamic of their relationship before, that the other personality is actually trying to pull him out of this. Because I don't think it's just Darlene that needed to get over Angela's death and accept Angela's death. There's a lot of acceptance in this episode. People just having to accept things, like kind of like Dom has to accept the job that the Dark Army want her to do. And the lengths that they'll go to make sure it happens. Same thing with like what they're doing with Elliot, where it's like they have to show him like the lengths that they'll go to, you know, and you have to accept it. Same way as he's telling Darlene to accept that Angela's dead. So we just kind of have to accept all these things. Even Terrell has to accept the fact that he's in charge of E-Corp, because he certainly seems just kind of like, is this it? You know, he went from being villain to hero. It's sad to see Darlene all coked up and completely just out of her mind, living at like throwing a party at Angela's house. It's all just, she's seeing her other places, and that's another thing. I was like, well, maybe she is. Maybe there is something else here going on here. But the thing is like I've said recently when I was talking about the Jonathan Hickman X-Men books, I was like, I think it just is. What we're seeing is just what we're seeing. We don't have to actually look any further into this. Like sometimes, you know, you watch a show like Mr. Robot, you come to expect all these twists and turns. But this was actually a really straightforward episode. Once you get to the end, you go, oh, this all was that. I also like that Mr. Robot talks to us. But is it us? Who in the end are they talking to? This friend that they call us. That Elliot now isn't talking to us. Mr. Robot is. But near the end of that, I mean, yeah, he's looking at the screen. But he says that we matter to him. We matter to Elliot. That's why Mr. Robot is doing this. He didn't give a fuck about us. And we're here to help. So whoever he's talking about, I don't know. Like, who is he? I don't know if he's talking to he's not talking to his mom, right? So who the hell is he talking to? I mean, maybe we'll never get an answer, and I kind of hope we don't. I kind of like that ambiguity. But if they do, I'll be really curious to see who this friend is that we've always supposedly assumed it was us. But once they get caught, right? They get caught up to Don't Worry, Be Happy. They drag him out. They take him back to his apartment. And a guy who looks a lot like Sam Esmail gives him a hot shot of heroin and puts him out. And I'm sitting there going, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. He's going to knock over the phone. He's going to get to 911. Well, maybe he's not. Maybe he's not going to get to that phone. Because his, memories of his family are basically telling us all that we're all going to disappear. And they even go to end credits. And I went, motherfucker, I'm only reviewing one episode at a time. And I'm not doing episode 2 today, right? So don't you dare end like this, where I make the declaration that Elliot's dead. Because that's what I was thinking the whole time, is I'm not watching the second episode tonight. Like, am I really gonna have to, like, make a video where I proclaim Elliot Alderson dead? For now. But no, they cut back, and it turns out, like, again, this is the introduction. This is letting us know, this is letting Elliot know that this is the message. Price comes in after they, shoot him with whatever wakes him up. And that's the end of the episode. Price coming in and being like, welcome back. So, I don't know, man. This is insane. This is insane. It's not just the story that's being told. It's the way that he tells it. It's the way that he gets you to buy into something and then completely fool you every single time. And with stellar performances by everyone involved, this is just another, like, this show's going to get more popular once it's over. I'm telling you right now, it's already, it's got a great following, right? But this isn't like Breaking Bad big. This is like that show that you wish more people watched. But once it's over, man, so many people are going to be into this like in 5, 10, 15 years. Um, and that's all I'm going to really say about this. Dinner at Dom's turns into something else, which is crazy. You find out that the girl at the table that she's kind of being set up with is really working for the Dark Army. Tells her she's going to cut her mom from mouth to see you next Tuesday. Again, like I said, like, she's got to accept her role in this now. Like, she's been putting it off, and she's been sitting at home and not doing anything. She almost kills the plumber, and this lady was sent there, again, to send another message. A lot of messages being sent, basically saying White Rose rules all. And Elliot gave up the Cyprus National Bank thing, but maybe that was, like I said, maybe this was all something that they knew. Like, maybe there's nothing at Cyprus National Bank. Maybe all of that was just left there as breadcrumbs for Elliot to find, so that he would have a direction to go in. You know, and they sacrificed this guy Freddie for nothing, showing that that guy meant nothing. That this is what we can do. And I think that's basically a message to us. We're getting a message sent to us that, like, you think that this is going to go one way. Don't expect anything to go the way you want. This might end up being one of the best seasons of television that I think, this might, like, I have a really good feeling about this. I think this is going to end in a way that's going to leave us all pretty satisfied, pretty amazed, and I hope, like I said, I hope more people get into this show as the years go on. So that's Mr. Robot Season 4, Episode 1. If you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Let me know what you guys think of this show in the comment section. Otherwise, this is Robin. We'll be back with Twilight just as soon as I figure out what the hell happened to me. So have a great night, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.